If you're on this channel, you're probably excited to get out there and start running. My name's Vic. I am an avid runner, been running for over 15 years now. I've completed over 50 plus marathons, ultra marathons. My fastest marathon that I did at 49 years old would be 3 hours, 23 minutes or so. And I just finished my Western States 100 miler where I completed it in under 30 hours. I also have a background in exercise, prescription, whole food, plant-based diet and psychology from Cornell, Pepperdine, and UConn. And oftentimes I integrate my knowledge into how I create videos that are designed to help people live healthier lives from both a metabolic point of view and a mental health point of view. And I try to share my personal experiences, insight science where important. But let me take you through some of the nuances of learning to run. I started running when I was single, and today I have 2 kids, 6 and 10, and I'm still running. So I'm going to be able to at least demonstrate for you on a longitudinal basis what the benefits of running are as we age and what some of the challenges are for us as we age. And as I research what other channels are articulating on running for beginners, I think there's a lot of top 10 tips, top 3 tips, top 5 tips. I'm going to nuance that a little bit and just bring everybody back to kind of psychology and why listening to this entire podcast for you would be beneficial to helping you continue to run and not second guess yourself in the process of becoming a runner, that you're not inundated with what shoes to get, what watch to get, what pace to run at, Zone 2, Zone 15, I'm being sarcastic, what races to sign up, but simply understand why you're doing it and where the enjoyment of running truly comes from. Running and all its side effects within reason are positive for our cognitive health and our physiological health. That's undeniable. Your blood pressure drops, your insulin sensitivity goes up, your cardiovascular system improves, your heart improves, your prefrontal cortex improves, your cerebellum is healthier, your white matter improves, your overall ability to transport plasma, blood from your body improves. There are more benefits than any drug, over-the-counter drug you can take. However, like everything, there is a process to becoming a runner. And that process starts here in your head. It's a lifestyle. It is not an intervention of like a pill you take intermittently. Because for you to become a runner and how to start running, you must adopt running into your daily life. And that's the simple part. And I think that's the part that many people overthink. Whether you run a minute a day, half a minute a day, or 10 minutes or an hour a day, you are building a habit that's sustainable around running. And whether you run a minute a day or 10 minutes a day or an hour a day, you benefit from that activity. The biggest issue I notice from my 10 years as a CEO of a company that built injury prevention products specifically for runners and athletes was that many people oftentimes don't know when to train through the pain, and oftentimes they train through the pain under the wrong context and they get injured and they stop running and they fall off the bandwagon. It's more common than not that people fall into that trap. And a lot of times it's maybe watching a marathon on television or being stimulated by a relationship that brings them back into the sphere of running. And many times they repeat the same mistakes over and over again. So let me set the record straight and help everyone kind of have 5 key goals that we can focus on to make sure that we can continue to run. The first thing, first and foremost, most important is identify your age, okay? And if you are 30 years old, 25 years old, you're a healthy individual, and you have no previous issues with your heart surgery, you're not on metformin, you're not on statin, chances are you're probably going to be okay to run, because running is a moderate to vigorous activity. It's not light. And so you probably still would want to get your body checked up, at age 30, and make sure you're physically healthy to go out and pursue this activity. If you're over 35, you're over 40, and you have a family history of cardiovascular disease or you're on pharmaceutical drugs, it's very important that you get doctor's approval to run, or at least consult your doctor and say, "Doc, I'm getting ready to run, and I need to get cleared." So that gives you a little bit of peace of mind. It is a moderate to vigorous activity. It's not light. Your heart rate will go up. The volume of the blood you pump out of your heart will improve as you run more and more, and your heart rate, resting heart rate, will actually drop as your muscle in the exterior part of your heart becomes thicker and stronger. This will all happen. This is adaptation. My current mileage of running is relative to my years of running. So just because I'm running, say, 60, 70, 80 miles a week doesn't mean you should be running 60, 80 miles a week. There is a good way to start running, which is to build your mileage up. And I know many of you have heard that. However, I don't think many people know this little nuance, which is alternate between road running and trail running. And when you're in the trails, look for places where there's a lot of upward hiking, downhill running. The trails are softer. It's undulating terrain. You're not repeating the same motion, using the same parts of your muscle on a repetitive basis. You're less likely to get injured. And when you're road running, stay away from the sidewalk, run on asphalt because it's softer. Those two are the most important things in running that I can present to you. Alternate 1 week running trails, 1 week running road, or alternate days, run road, run trail, giving your body the flexibility to run in different terrains, and focus a lot on not just running slow or running in zone 2. That's okay, I get it, that all makes sense. It's all over the internet. But mixing in hiking, which is power hiking, with a little bit of uphill jogging, and with definitely downhill running and downhill jogging. When you're running on flats, when you're running on track, many people tend to go too fast because there's no resistance. And as you get better at running, you want to sprinkle in these different terrains. The context is when you can run more volume, the more volume you can put into your running journey, the faster you will get. Metabolically adapted you will be to the act of running. So this takes time. And there are unicorn stories of people running, sub 4-hour marathon, their first marathon. And those unicorn stories are not what I'm here to discuss. If you know you're a unicorn, you shouldn't be here. This is for the regular Joes, the mid-pack, that trains really hard, over time becomes, the top 20% in some races here and there, and with a little luck, 15%. For the majority of us who are really in love with the sport, really in love with the identity, and would love to just get a little bit better at it. So we're here for longevity. We're here to be able to do something we love for a very long time. And we're not here to, be the fastest in our group, but we're here to enjoy all of the benefits of running that come with the territory. So when you're running on different terrain, you're focused on finding track, finding asphalt, finding trail. And sometimes you do have to drive to these different locations and enjoy that aspect of not running the same place all the time. So you turn it into an activity for you. So your weekly sessions look something like this. Okay, it's Monday. I'm going to do some stairs today. I'm going to find stairs that I can do in my backyard or in a neighborhood. I'm going to do up and down stairs for vertical training to strengthen my quads. and to build that part of my muscle. You can almost create a protocol around that where it allows you to be rest days, where rest days where you're not doing the impact when you're running, but you're still getting that heart rate up through stair climbing. And then you have your trail days where you go out and you run fire roads or single track, and the pace is most likely 2-minute miles slower than if you were running roads. So say if you're running a 10-minute mile on the road or 11, you're doing 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-minute miles. And there's some vertical gain that comes with the territory. So it's more undulating, both on the surface of your feet. So you're going over rocks, you're going over different terrain, you're navigating, you're cognitively sound because you're thinking through where to put your steps. It's actually going to make you mentally more acute instead of just putting on a headset and then running on not thinking about what you're running. So there are benefits to running trail. And then when you're on the track, you're running a little bit with purpose. You're oftentimes trying to run a little bit faster or trying to do some form of tempo workout or speed workout. By the way, you can do all of that on a trail, and that I will get into over time. So this is really just to set the mindset, give you a mindset of like how this sport of running works. And you have different tools in this toolbox to reach out for. And you'll notice, why am I spending so much time on surface is because let's say you're running on a flat and you're like, this is just bothering my right knee, and you're maybe 3 weeks in. Change the terrain, go to the trails. Chances are it won't bother anymore because you're not running flat, you're running on different surface. That's actually active recovery for that part of your knee, behind your knee, your patella tendon, your soleus, your gastrus, all these different places in your body. So it's also an injury prevention protocol for you where you don't have to buy anything, you just have to change surface. That segues into the fact that the adaptation of running takes place over the course of years and months, not days. So I often give people this example where the dad like me goes out, kicks a soccer ball around with my daughter and feels like everything's great. And then on day 30, I pull my Achilles tendon or something like that. So you can get away with new exercise for almost 3-4 weeks without experiencing the acute effects of tendon injury or muscle injury that doesn't present itself until week 4. This is where it presents itself. So don't overdo it and ease yourself into that process of having a habit where you're going out multiple times a week. I am not for taking a lot of rest days. I am for taking shorter days and going out to move every day instead of going 1 hour and then just rest. Do nothing Tuesday, assuming today's Monday, we run an hour, and then we do nothing Tuesday, and then we run another hour in pain on Wednesday and do nothing. I prefer that you do things like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes, incrementally build and give your body just enough stimulus to where I want you to go home and say, I ran today, I'm a runner, that's my identity, I'm becoming a runner. But I'm going to be able to run tomorrow with less pain. Frequency over intensity, time. Okay? The type we know is running. So fit, frequency, intensity, type, and time. In the beginning, the first few months, even the first 6 months, build up your frequency, but let the intensity be light and the time be short. So how much time should you be investing in running your first 4 weeks of running if you're starting from zero? Let me preface it from this point of view. I would think that in your 30-minute bout of running, let's call it 30 minutes of exercise. Pick a place where you're maybe investing only 30% of that time actually running. The other 70% you're walking or fast walking. However, if you do feel like that when you're running, that the first few weeks you feel great, you're like, I feel wonderful, I'm not in pain. I still want you to only run for that 30-minute duration of exercise, maybe of actual movement, closer to 30% of your overall volume. And then moving on the second month, increase that to 40, 45%, 50%. At month 6, you can sort of unleash and go, I'm going to run 60%, 70% of this entire 30-minute, 45-minute hour run. You're going to build up. The weekly build-up can be anywhere between, 10 minutes to start, so daily increasing, nothing in the first few weeks, just stay at 10 minutes or 15 minutes where your comfort level is. I want you to be able to continue this on a daily basis, maybe taking a day or two of rest. And rest days is walking days, not a nothing day. You want to keep those new tendons active so you can continue to hydrate the muscle and allow any buildup in the tendons to slowly move, disperse into your tissues so you don't have too much fluid buildup in the tendons that's causing you the pain. That's really the trick. And if you're interchanging between trails and road, avoiding sidewalks and primarily running on asphalt because asphalt's softer, I think you're going to be able to go through those initial phases with a lot more ease and a lot less injury. That's really important. Okay, so that's tip number 1 is making sure you change between surfaces when you start running and monitoring your time so that you're only really going after the full bout of exercise with 33 to 30% of that effort in pounding the ground, running, whether it's trail or road. And a lot of hiking, a lot of walking, a lot of speed walking. It'll get you through. Number 2, which is really important for beginner runners, is having someone to run with on a weekend basis that, you kind of are a buddy system. You're like, hey, I'm going to do this this weekend. And you're probably not going to do that until you get familiar with how much you can run. But have that goal. It's like, pick a friend out and say, you know what, I just started running, and in 2-3 weeks from now, I'd love to be able to go with you somewhere and do a run and set a goal and keep that goal kind of a moving goal, but have that idea that I'm training for something. I'm training for a engagement with a friend, and I would like that engagement to be positive. Following that engagement, you can say, okay, I feel more confident in my body. It's holding itself together. I feel like I can continue to run at least for several months to come. I'm in this cadence. I can handle the 10 minutes every day, or even 5 minutes or 10 minutes in the morning, and then sprinkling in another couple minutes just to get the body moving again in the afternoon or evening. And you say, okay, then I want you to look at a race calendar. And by race calendar, I mean an event where you can run with other runners, be it a 5K, something short where you can put your name on it and have that goal. Those goals are important because they give you a North Star to look for, and it keeps you motivated. Those are really important opportunities for your brain to register and connect with a definitive goal, right? Number 3, goal setting. Number 2, goal setting, meaning setting goals to run with someone or in a community. So first, changing surfaces. Number 2, being involved with running and a community. If you don't have someone to run with, sign up for a race, plenty of people there, and or engage a good friend that you can share this journey with. Asking you to join a run group yet, and because running groups tend to overtrain you quite quickly in the beginning, I just want your first few months to be by yourself, kind of, intermittently with a friend or two, but just kind of get yourself ready to be running with other people. It's a whole different experience. It can be stressful. It can overtrain you. You can overdo a lot of things when you're in pack, for good and for bad. So the third thing is, a lot of people are concerned with their shoes. When you're running lower mileage, when you're running by time, not by distance, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, even 30 minutes. My definitive, confident perception on how to run with the best equipment is please go to your local running store like a Fleet Feet Sports nationwide. They will do a good job fitting you with some new shoes for you to run in. And a lot of people prefer different types of shoes. Some prefer stability, neutral, stable. Hey, it's a feel thing. It's not going to be your last pair of running shoe. Enjoy the journey. This is the first pair of many pairs to come, and just enjoy the journey. Don't stress about it. Nothing can go wrong with the wrong pairs of with the wrong shoes, in my opinion, at that distance, right? When you get into marathoning, by the time you get into marathoning, should you choose to, or half marathon or a 10K, you're gonna have lots of awareness of how your body presents itself when it's moving at a specific pace. And when the person at the run specialty store asks you what you prefer, you're going to be able to articulate to that person, like I supinate or I pronate, or I feel like I'm landing here a little bit incorrectly, and bring your shoes in because they're gonna be able to see your wear pattern and they're gonna say, oh, you're a heel striker. These guys know what they're doing, and that's definitely part of the journey. On the subject of form, there's no right form, in my opinion. There's the form that your body adapts to in the most efficient way to help you carry yourself through distance. So don't get overly obsessed with form. Be obsessed with moving, running daily, and not getting injured. That's what you should be obsessed about. And to get injured means most of the time when runners get injured is either it's an accident, they often accidentally tripped over something, or they overuse. In other words, you went from no running to running 2 hours on one weekend, and then thinking that because you have a goal of running a marathon in 3 months from starting to run, you eventually get injured because that's just too tall of an order to satisfy. So I think that's definitely very important, is making sure you, again, change surfaces. Number 2, buddy system, eventually signing up for a race. And after 3 months of training, you can then, find a running group to run with. They're all over the internet, and there are multiple ones in your community. I would avoid doing that from the get-go because you are more likely to get injured that way than not. And then number 3 is going to a running store to get fitted for your first pair of running shoes. And I'll tell you guys a little trick. There are shoes that are designed for beginner runners that are almost bulletproof. The gold standard is, there are these go-to shoes that fitters will give to you and say, okay, you just started running. Here's the cushion we recommend. Go try it out, and your next pair, it may not be as cushioned. You may need something more neutral because your body's getting stronger, needs less of the help, right? So those are things that I think are very important. And the 4th tip I think most running coaches are prescribing is, I'm not a running coach. I'm really just trying to give you an idea of what you should be experiencing as a beginner runner psychologically, what you should be aware of. There are much better running coaches out there, and you could Google and search them. They'll teach you how to run Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This is all about building up your stamina and your physiological capabilities so that when you engage your running coach, you're actually fit enough to be able to run the protocols or the training programs they establish for you, right? And truth be told, they're not that complicated, and the best coaches will be personalized for you, where they understand your background, they're spending time with you on a one-on-one basis. That's where you're gonna get the best training. The boilerplate ones, they hit and miss, okay? The ones you get from ChatGPT or even digital, it can hit or miss because it doesn't really know, what's your weight? How long have you been really running? You can say you've been running for 3 months, 4 months, but it doesn't really understand the nuances of how you're doing these runs, how you feel after these runs. And I think having a coach that you can work with over a period of time that understands what you're eating, how you're consuming food, what your work-life balance is important. And that being a person that you can rely on over time, I think will help with your running career. I've had coaches intermittently over my running, and sometimes it helps, sometimes it's necessary, and sometimes you just want to train by yourself. So don't look at anything in an absolute basis. There's nothing absolute about running. It's about this year, I like a coach. This year, I don't. This year, I got it, and then you don't got it. And so enjoy the journey. This is a journey that you do not need to get so obsessed about perfection. There is no perfection in this journey. It's a wild ride because you may sign up for your first marathon, run the first marathon, and decide, whoa, that distance is too much for me. I'm going to be a half marathon specialist, or I'm going to focus on trails because I like that 10-miler trail race I ran. I'm going to stick to this. And things change as you get older or as you get younger, if you feel younger. As I age, I feel younger, so I feel like I can do more races or I can run faster. My first LA marathon that I ran fast. Okay, my first LA marathon I ran at 5 hours and 3 minutes. Or was it 4 hours and 53 minutes? One of those. My second LA marathon, which took place 4 months later, I ran a 3:53. And I was 36 years old, or 35 years old. Last year, the year before last, at 48, I ran LA marathon, and I ran a 3:33. So you see how I'm getting faster? But in between my 3:33 and my 3:43, I ran 4 hours, 50 minutes, again, 4:30, 4:20. I ran with my cousin. It's not about having that speed dictate your ability to identify as a runner. Some years you're going to run slower. Some years you're going to run faster. And enjoy it. Enjoy the slowness. I really enjoy running slow sometimes. And I want to be completely honest with you. The faster you run, the harder you push your body, the more likely you're going to get injured. So use those days, use those events sparingly. In other words, you cannot run every marathon fast. You cannot race every race you are entered in. However, you can enter lots of races and enjoy the scenery and be able to go around the world, around the country, and you can fully sign up for races and start and finish. There are 5-hour cutoffs, 6-hour cutoffs. That's not a problem at all. Enjoy it. Sign up for some triathlons while you're at it. Figure out, get yourself involved in swimming when you get a little bit more, switch it up a little. Let your body switch out. I did a few half Ironmans, here and there. I didn't know how to swim, so it was so exciting to me. And not to go on a tangent, but experience new things in the world of run. There are mountain running, short distance mountain running, long distance mountain, short distance marathons, longer distance marathons. It's the nuance between marathon, I get it. So it's ultramarathons over 31 miles or 32 miles, and anything under that's ultramarathon. But you're not factoring distance and time. You're not factoring time. There are 18-milers out there that could take you, closer to 10 hours, 15 hours. So it all depends on the vertical gain. So don't get obsessed over distance. Get obsessed over time. How much time am I going to spend out there today working on becoming a better runner? Okay, I'm going to do 30 minutes. You go out, you do 30 minutes of run, walk, hike, and a little bit of sprinting if you feel like it. But just because you don't sprint doesn't mean you're not a runner. Nobody knows how fast you're running. Nobody cares. It's a personal thing. Running's oftentimes personal. But when you do get into ultra running, it's a team sport. You need a crew. You need a pacer. You need people to support you because the distance is so much longer and the time you spend out there is much longer. Okay, now, you've got these things figured out. You kind of say to yourself, hey, okay, I've been running a little bit on my trails. I've been running a little bit on road. I'm not feeling that bad. And I do feel a little bit sore, nothing acute, nothing painful. And I think I can do this. on a 10-minute, 20-minute, 30-minute a day basis, and you'll know when to rest, okay? You rest when you feel wonderfully fatigued. You should be sleeping better in that period. And so a lot of this is listening to your body, okay? If there's acute pain, acute, meaning it's really, it hurts, it's like a fracture, go see a doctor, But if it's where it's pain from, it's like growing pains, I suggest that you move daily and not move at all. So you not moving through the pain, but keep the body moving. The body repairs itself when the stem cells are woken up every 12 hours or so. So that's why I always tell people to move every hour. When you're sitting down for 10 minutes, for an hour or so, try to move a couple minutes, do some non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, and move yourself through that arena. Okay, we get to a point where we start to want to get faster. Okay, everyone starts with this very simple goal, which is I want to run, a good goal for a lot of people is running 30 minutes in and being able to do three miles, so 10-minute miles. And a lot of people try to get to that goal with a lot of intentionality. So they're saying, I'm going to be able to run 3 miles at a 10-minute pace, and I want to be able to do it in 3 months. Don't set those goals. You will surprise yourself as you just go out there and run 10, 20, 30 minutes every day. And over time, I promise you, you will surprise yourself. One day you're going to start running, and you're like, I don't think I need to stop today. And you're not. But don't overdo it. Once you're feeling good, back off. That's the first 3 to 4 months of running. Okay? So this is the first episode, how to get you kind of started with running. I hope this is good takeaway for you. And it's something that I learned over time. And I'm very, very happy to be able to pass this down to you. I have been running for 15 years right now. I've only been injured 1 year. That's the first year of running. I did it all wrong. I added too much mileage. I ran too fast. I tried to join a running group and run with other people, and other people were running fast, and I wanted to be fast. And all those problems that get attached to running in a group, they express themselves in that first 6 months. So be very careful. And I ran on sidewalks all the time, and that impact on the sidewalk kills your knees. And then I switched to trail and on. The advice I'm giving you, I practice myself. I've been able to run the last 13 years, every year, averaging between, I would say 40 miles. Like the minimum for me is 30 miles a week, but lately, for the last 5 years, I would be between 55 miles, 50 miles to 70 miles a week would be my daily. And as you run, your body strengthens. So your first 2 years is the most deleterious phase. The adaptation needs to, by year 3, your body is going to be pretty good with, the act of running. So take it easy, enjoy the process, and treat running as a intervention like medicine. It's very good medicine, but like all medicine, if you take too much of it too fast, your body's going to react negative to it. So there's an adaptation phase. How long? Give it 3 years. Give it 3 years. Your body does need 3 years to adapt to running. And it's not to say you can't run your first marathon within the first year, but you can, but you need to make sure you ease into it. And we'll get into marathon training later, but this is all about what you should think about as a beginner runner, a start runner. And I hope you enjoyed the background. It's just little races I've done here to just get you guys motivated. Thanks so much.